Hello, good morning, good people. This is Buddha from Tanua Agro. So this is our worm station, which is particularly made available for my ducks. Our focus here is to feed my ducks and not necessarily produce vermicompost. We're just trying to create a protein source for my ducks, like we've been saying. And in this video, I just want to share the process and how it goes on. And today we're feeding our ducks with these worms, nice plump worms for feeding our ducks, and it's going to be quite interesting. We're calling it the thrill of the hunt, just to allow animals to have that feeling. So yeah, it is. We're just harvesting worms today, but this is what good vermicompost looks like when it's ready. But that's not our focus for today. So we've got ready vermicompost, meaning kuti hamsisina chikafu. But check this out. We've got those nice plump big worms loaded with protein for our ducks, and we just want to collect, harvest, and then refeed the small ones, the little ones that are left in there. So we're just going to use this little bucket to just collect the worms that are ready. The big ones that are ready are what we're collecting. We're seeing lots of eggs as well in the beans, which is a good sign. There's a lot of reproduction going on. So what worms and the worm project are basically is for us, it's just an alternative protein source. The most expensive feed component are your proteins, and just having enough protein for your animals is good. Egg production increases, and then there's also the thrill of the hunt. To just be in a natural state where animals get to live in their natural state, where they get to hunt, look for feed. We'll cover them up with a bit of vermicompost so that they scratch around and get to find the feed. It not only keeps them entertained, but also to some extent it's also a remedy against cannibalism. We don't have that going on at the moment, but I know it's one of the things that you can also employ to help keep animals away from cannibalism. And then after this process, we'll then feed these to the ducks, allow them to enjoy, get a bit of protein. They were a bit underweight over the past few days. We've been having feed challenges, but now we're back on track. We've had to significantly reduce the size of our flock just to manage the feed. And that's my advice to most farmers. If your feed situation is not where it's supposed to be, you can always reduce the quantity of your flock and then regrow it according to the amount of feed that you can sustain, sustainable levels of feed. So this is the first time we're actually harvesting worms for ducks from these beans. This is the first for us. Just trying to see how much we can get in a month, and then we refeed and see what we'll get the second month. We anticipate there will be an increase. We put in a little bit of straw pamsoro just to just manage moisture levels, but we've got lids on our beans. Most people don't. We've got lids on our beans and little ventilation holes on the sides. The lids just make sure the beans remain moist in the event that we get overwhelmed with work and can't really water them as frequently as we want. We know they're covered, so there isn't much in terms of moisture loss that happens. So yeah, we just harvested the first bean. The first bean is giving us maybe about a can or so, but it's a bean full of vermicompost, which we should be harvesting and putting in a bag, but we're not going to do that today because we want to refeed. And then in the next cycle, we then harvest all the vermicompost, and hopefully each bin will give us at least 60 liters of vermicompost per harvest. 60 liters of vermicompost per harvest is the equivalent of about $15 over 5 bins. If we sell that vermicompost, say for example, if we sold that vermicompost at $15 a 60-liter bag, that would earn us enough money to buy the concentrate that we need for all our animals for the month. It's quite an interesting scenario. So that is done. We've got enough worms from here. And then now we then refeed. So just make sure the process of harvesting the worms also just helps aerate the beans. So what we now have is the scenario where our beans have been aerated, and then we've added feed to them. This is dry cattle manure which we've just been collecting. We add feed to make sure they just regrow, and then we're going to water this to make sure it's moist. Putting it on top just allows the worms to come up and pick it up right at the top. We just make sure we don't want to cover the vents. So now this bin is ready. We've just added feed. And then a little bit of mulch just to keep it moist. And then the cover. Simple process. Sometimes you find the mulch eaten by the worms. It's still okay. It still breaks down into what you want. It still works. And now to our second bin. There's something interesting that I would want to show you. There you go. You can see the quality of material that's coming out of here. The vermicompost, as you can see. Beautiful stuff. Nice and clean. And then when you open up your beans and you see this sign, when you see it pelleted like this, it tells you that your worms are eating well and they're doing very well. So now to harvest this one, we have here, that's some white grub growing in the bin. We're just going to chuck it in there. That's also a lot of protein. Can't farm those really, but oh well, we'll let the ducks enjoy that. So lots of worm activity. Here you go. Okay, we'll just add that to our harvest station. Got some worms that are really young, like this one. It's just been born. Even tinier ones, like the ones that we have here. Just little hatchlings. We'll let those ones grow. Those are the ones that we're feeding. Trukusira calf. So same process, we cover this up, add feed to it, and then let it grow. So after harvesting, we then just water it down. Just make sure the moisture levels are correct, especially with the cattle manure that we've just added. There's enough moisture, and yeah, it's sorted. Now we've got moisture, and then we let them cook. We allow them to cook. There we go. That's sorted. So now we're ready to feed. But let's see if they enjoy it. First test. Test number 1. Vermicompost to ducks. Thrill of the hunt. Let's see what happens. They actually love it. Looks like they're enjoying it. It's a fun exercise for them. Yeah, looks like we have ourselves a winner. It's the first test feeding ducks with worms from our vermicompost project. Here we go. It's a fun exercise. Looks like we have a bit of worm activity left in the bucket. So we're just gonna add that down, see what happens. There we go. Protein. So that's it. That's my take on feeding vermicompost to ducks. It's not a replacement for anything. It is a supplement, a protein supplement for your ducks. It comes with a bit of other nutritional benefits like your vitamins and the likes, but it's just primarily a protein supplement for your ducks, and it's good for them. As you can see, they're enjoying it. They're continuing to hunt. Keeps them busy, keeps them occupied. It is a cheap way of doing it, and remember, you get 2 products out of it. You've got your worms that you're feeding your ducks, and then you've got vermicompost. We'll figure out what we want to do with our vermicompost, but it is not our primary project. It's not our primary focus. We're probably going to do a vegetable patch with the vermicompost to have a nice organic feel to it, or we're going to raise pastures for our goats using vermicompost, just to make sure the whole feed chain for our goats is an organic sort of situation, and we'll just play around with it to see what happens. But that's basically it. You've got a protein source, and then you've got a compost that is rich in fertilizer that produces very good veggies, that you can use to produce other crops which you can also add value to. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your support. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you.